Right, moving on. We're now in the post-war years in German Tank Museum, 44 to 90. So we've got a mixture of stuff here, both on the Russian side and on the German side. As the priorities for Germany had changed dramatically. We've already had a look at the T-34-85. Quick look at the Trabant, just because this is a traditional Russian Jeep and civilian car. Nice. A few bits and pieces over here I'm not particularly interested in, but this is a German GB thing. This is a German sort of APC, but what we'll see here is that development is basically, if you look at it, that's the American M3 that they've ripped off, or brought the ideas off, depending on your point of view. So that was kind of their follow-up from the SDK 251 series, and that we looked at earlier. We've got some good old Russian stuff now, T-54, T-55. Tiny little tanks, really, when you compare them to even some of the stuff we looked at in the Second World War. Very poor crew conditions, but they've definitely upped their game. Keeps a lot of the traditional Russian characteristics. We've seen this on the 34s, the Su-100, the fuel tanks, external fuel tanks. These are all fuel tanks. The grab rails for infantry, blah blah blah. And these, we see these in service across the world, right up to the Gulf War, where the Iraqis were still using these. Good luck. I think that's T-55. Yeah, T-55, obviously a training tank, so you can see all the bits and pieces. Well, I think I've just trodden on a bit of the Berlin Wall by mistake there. Sorry about that. There you go. Berlin Wall. Had a bit of that in Samura as well. Proper bit of history. Yeah, have a quick look at the Berlin Wall. Bit of Berlin Wall. Some other bits and pieces. Yeah, it's a truck. Right. This is what we're going to see. A few of these exhibits in here. So now we see American kit being repurposed for German use. So this is the M47, the pattern. I won't go into any deep detail about this because the Second World War is really my bit of interest. But what we see here is the Americans providing the Germans kit now. Because again, everybody's priorities change and the Russians are now the bad guys. If we just have a quick walk back to the beginning of this gallery, we'll see that again. So this is quite fun. So this is the M8. We called it the Greyhound when we had an American Second World War reconnaissance vehicle. Again, it's a wheeled vehicle, good all-terrain vehicle, and this has been put in service with the German border police after the war. Be a load of these left over, and in museum we've got a little Bren gun carrier here, and they basically they're saying the same, that these saw service throughout Germany where they've been captured from the Brits and repurposed, which is kind of cool. This is a M39. Oh yeah. So this is, let's have a look from the side. Again, this is repurposing stuff. So there's an American tank destroyer, the M18, the Hellcat. So what they've done is they've used the Hellcat chassis and hull and then dumped a new lid on top of it. And this, I think, some kind of armoured personnel carrier. And then we've got the M41. So this is the same sort of thing. It's American, it's been repurposed. And this one, although it looks like a big tank, was really a reconnaissance vehicle. It's very, very lightly armoured, huge engine in it. It was formerly again on a tank destroyer. So the idea is this thing will whip about and be used as a tank destroyer rather than your classical tank versus tank fighting vehicle. Then just to finish off, this is the Ferret armoured car. So this is British. The Germans played around with it for a bit. See if they fancied it as their own reconnaissance vehicle, and they didn't. They went in a different direction. So that's just a really quick whistle-stop tour of 1945 to 1990, and we've got the modern galleries next. Right, we're back with the next hangar at the Tank Museum. So again, we've moved on from 1945 to 1990s, and now we've got all kind of the Mondi kind of stuff. Not really my period, so I'm not going to labour this, but I do enjoy this Russian stuff. I remember modelling most of this stuff when I was a kid. So here we got PT-76, which was a 76mm cannon on a little swimming tank. Now this is a sort of Russian doctrine. They wanted to be able to cross rivers because of what they were going to do. They were going to obviously invade Europe, and there's a lot of rivers and places to get across. So we see loads of their stuff is capable of fording. Now this was a really good little tank, and apparently it could be used, as the picture tells us, in a ship-to-shore role. The trade-off with this, though, is that the armour on these things was extremely light. Oh, that's Dennis and Darren. Hello, boys. Oh, nice. We got some stuff.
One of these is yours.
Oh, fantastic. I will do exactly that. I shall just finish this quick bit I'm doing. I won't be long. Going around all the other Russian armour then. BRM. So we'll see this same profile for all the Soviet stuff in the Cold War. Various versions of the BMP, which again are an amphibious armoured personnel carrier. BMP-1, BMP-2 and some other variant. So amphibious, the weapon systems, as you'll see, slowly creeping up to automatic cannons, getting more and more sophisticated with the sights and the ranging equipment. Horrible things to be in bowl accounts, in so much as if you were infantry in there, you're going to be puking your guts up most of the time. BTR 70, so we can see that they're using a wheeled off-road variant, and then there's a whole bunch of tanks. I'm not going to labour these either. T55 variant, another T55. And if we just compare these two, you can see the really basic configuration, the earlier versions. Then with the latter versions, they smashed on extra armour, ranging equipment, extra munitions, all sorts of bits and pieces. So we're just going to finish off the Russian bits nice and quick, and then we're kind of skipping inadvertently ahead right to the most developed German-made battle tanks, T62 and the T72, which was kind of as good as it got on the Russian side. Loads of mods there, as we can see. Trying to reduce the dust that these things threw up. I'm going to go back the other way now and so ask about Faceway. So we're going to look at the Leopard very briefly. It's a Leopard 2. We've seen the Leopards at Tank Fest. They can half shift, they're really impressive. I've no idea what that is. That's some sort of leopard shapey thing, but there's no signage. That's a Leopard. That's a Leopard 1. They've obviously got all the various variants because it's German, and the Canadians use it as well, obviously. Got to work my way back to the beginning of the gallery nice and quick because I think the boys need a bit of grub. This looks really interesting. Obviously something very, very modern. Puma. Don't know anything about this, but that looks like a hell of a gun on it. Some kind of automatic cannon. Ranging equipment. Very nice. Just really quickly then. That's a modern version of the Marder. So we looked at the Second World War version. We saw one of those out in the car park as well. Another Marder. Various bits and pieces I'm not what I bought about. Leopard 1. Little bits and pieces. Because the one I'm really looking forward to is right at the end here. Blah blah blah. Various little bits and pieces. We've got an American M48, the Patton tank. So we've seen these at Bovey, so the Patton tank did come in at the end of the war, just about, but not really in any numbers great enough to make a big effect. They learned a lot of lessons from all sides of the armoured doctrines. That's a Patton tank that the Germans were using, ready to fight the Russians. So we'll just finish off this haul with Centurion. So this was our answer to all of those crazy Second World War German super tanks. The Centurion. Look at this. It really is a thing of beauty. So we'd gone away from the traditional three-sided triangle combat doctrine thing of trying to balance out your firepower, your armour and your manoeuvrability. And based on our experiences in the Second World War, we went for firepower and armour. So the pluses and minuses with the Centurion is got a bloody big gun on it. It's extremely well armoured, but it couldn't shift it when it needed to, like some of the other American tanks, which is why the Germans never took it on as their own main battle tank. But this is a beautiful tank, and I always think of Korea when I see these. The Australians were using them in Vietnam, and the Imjin River, which is where the North Koreans were very close to overrunning South Korea during the war. These things stood their ground and took some bloody losses, but they stood their ground, and that's why South Korea is South Korea and not just a united North Korea. Anyway, enough of that. I'm off. Cheers.